Yeah, I want everybody to know this is a real good book. Once you get it and begin to read it, I guarantee you, you won't want to put it down. Through a revelation, God revealed to me that the scriptures contained in the Bible may be interpreted from the viewpoint of science. And so I was set out on a mission to show that the scripture may be interpreted from the viewpoint of science. That's what resulted in me writing this book, and it's a very good book. I want people to know that this book is not against the religion of Christianity in any way. But what God has given me is a plan to have the scripture be interpreted in such a way that it become more meaningful and more revealing of his existence and of his works and of his Son that has the power to eradicate sin. That people of the mindset of today, which are centered around scientific discovery, can have a more meaningful relationship with him, and in the end, partnership with him, and seeing that the kingdom of heaven is established on the kingdom. Now, on the planet Earth. Now, in the initial stage, God gave those scriptures to man, when he possessed the mindset that dealt primarily with superstition and the supernatural. That's why, the interpretation of the scripture led to ideals that are contaminated with superstition and supernatural. But that interpretation of the scripture and the notion created as a result of the interpretation of the scripture has served mankind well over the long period of social development. And really it's playing a major role today, even though we know now that some of those ideas that are brought about by a literal interpretation of the scripture are contaminated with superstition. For instance, like the idea that God spoke as people use words to communicate with one another. The name of an object or a person, and that person or object instantly appear. That's magic. See, that's an idea that is associated with superstition and supernatural. You see. So, but they serve well, and they still serve some functionality in the world today. Even though we begin to realize that some of this, these ideas are just contaminated with superstition. So God has given me this method of interpreting the scripture, which takes nothing away from the spiritual integrity of the scriptures at all, in any respect. Not even have to take away any literary character in a way, or change them in any way. It's just a method of interpreting the scripture from the viewpoint of science. You see, and then the notions that are created as a result of this type of interpretation will contain ideals that can be supported by scientific inquiry. So that's the difference. Whereas the literal interpretation contains ideals that are supported by superstition. This method of interpreting scripture will actually suit up the ideas that are contained in the notion from a literal interpretation of scripture in such a way that they become hybrid ideals, that can be explained from a scientific perspective. So this is what this book is all about. You really got to get into the book to understand a lot of the concepts in there, but I just want to know that this is what the book is doing. And once you get into it and see how brilliantly, that this interpretation of the scripture is carried out when it is carried out in this manner, then you will see that this truly is an instrument provided by God to help human beings to gain a greater understanding of his word that will permit them to have an applicable relationship with him. So that's what the book is all about. And now tomorrow, well, actually, I'll just go ahead and say this. The first part of the book is really broken down in three themes, One is dealing with the superstition and supernatural that is associated with the idea of the existence, the true nature of the existence of the Supreme Being. And another section, a theme is dealing with what constitutes the Son of the Supreme Being, who have the actual power to eradicate sin. And the last theme is dealing with the kingdom of heaven. And that's an interesting. The last one is a section or a theme is an interesting one too, because God has shown me certain things about the functioning of the mind that suggest that the kingdom of heaven is to emerge in our conscious mind. Jesus said it when they asked Jesus. He said, if they say that the kingdom is in the desert or the kingdom is somewhere in a secret room, do not believe them, because the kingdom is within you. You see, so the only obvious answer to that question is that the kingdom is within the conscious mind of human beings. You see. So, and then God has revealed to me how the kingdom is functioning, and we go ahead in the last theme, last session, to show how that you can become connected to the functioning of your conscious mind, and by gaining control, you can begin to have the kingdom of heaven manifest within the conscious mind. The recipe to the kingdom. That's the last chapter. That's a good chapter, really is. But those are the three themes. So the first section is going to deal with what constitutes the true nature of the Supreme Being. What the book does is it brings forth ideas that give us a more applicable understanding of what the Supreme Being is. And once you get into the book, you see that I've gone into the areas that show that the force of reason is maybe classified as the spirit of the Supreme Being. But we'll get into all that, what the book is talking about on another time. I just want to show people and to make people understand that this book is complementary to the Bible. It doesn't go against anything. You'll see how wonderfully it does complement. And then you'll be encouraged to believe that this is a true method that God has given to me to allow people to be able to begin interpreting the scripture from a different perspective, and which we allow them to gain a more applicable understanding of its existence. Yeah, I don't want everybody to know this is a real good book. Once you get it and begin to read it, I guarantee you won't want to put it down. It really opened our mind to an interesting and well, you have to get it. You just have to get it to see. It's a good book. It's kind of big, but it'd be worth your time to read every word.